381 Navy SEALs, surrounded by enemies. The A-10 pilot's forbidden rescue mission left everyone speechless. Helicopter. This is the most heroic military story you will ever read. What this pilot did will give you chills. Subscribe for more incredible tales of courage. Helicopter ***. The radio crackled with desperation at 0347 hours. Mayday, mayday. This is Bravo Company. 381 SEALs, pinned down in the valley. We are surrounded, taking heavy fire, and running low on ammo. Request immediate air support. Captain Jake "Thunder" Mitchell had been flying A-10 Thunderbolts for 12 years, but he'd never heard such raw terror in a SEAL commander's voice. From his cockpit 15,000 feet above the mountains of Afghanistan, Jake could see the nightmare unfolding below. America's most elite warriors trapped in a kill box, completely surrounded by over 2,000 Taliban fighters. What happened next would either make him a hero or destroy his career forever. Negative on air support, came the cold response from command. Weather conditions are below minimums. Winds at 65 knots, zero visibility. All aircraft are grounded until further notice. Jake stared at his instruments. The brass was right. Flying in this storm was suicide. The mountain winds could slam his A-10 into the peaks without warning. But below him, 381 of America's finest were about to be slaughtered. Thunder, this is Bravo Actual. The SEAL commander's voice broke through static. We've got wounded down here. My boys are dying. If someone doesn't help us in the next 10 minutes, we're all going home in body bags. The decision that would change everything came in a heartbeat. Bravo Actual, this is Thunder. I'm coming in hot. Thunder, negative. Command has forbidden any air support. You'll be court-martialed, his wingman, Captain Sarah Viper Rodriguez, shouted over the radio. Then court-martial me, Jake replied, pushing his throttle forward and diving into the storm. I'm not letting 381 heroes die on my watch. What Jake didn't know was that every radio transmission was being recorded at Pentagon Command Center, where General Patricia Hayes and her staff watched in stunned silence as one pilot chose to risk everything for his brothers in arms. The descent into hell began. Jake plunged his A-10 Warthog through the storm, fighting 70 miles per hour crosswinds that tried to tear his aircraft apart. Ice formed on his wings as he descended through the clouds, his altimeter spinning wildly. At 500 feet, he broke through the cloud ceiling and saw the battle raging below. The sight was devastating. 381 Navy SEALs, 3 full companies who'd been conducting a joint operation, were pinned down in a narrow valley, completely surrounded by Taliban positions on the ridgelines. Muzzle flashes lit up the mountainsides like deadly fireworks as enemy fighters poured fire down on the trapped Americans. Thunder, we're taking casualties every second. Bravo Actual screamed. They've got us zeroed in from 3 sides. What Jake did next defied every rule of combat aviation. Flying barely 100 feet above the ground in a raging storm, Jake began his attack run. His 30mm GAU-8 cannon, designed to destroy tanks, roared to life, sending 4,200 rounds per minute into enemy positions. The distinctive BRRRT sound of the Warthog's gun echoed through the valley like thunder from the gods. But the weather made accurate targeting nearly impossible. Jake couldn't use his targeting systems in the storm, so he flew by instinct alone, making pass after pass through the deadly winds. Thunder, you're too low. Pull up. Viper screamed over the radio. Jake ignored her. On his 4th pass, a Taliban RPG nearly took off his left wing. On his 6th, small arms fire shredded his right engine. But he kept coming. The impossible was about to become reality. For 47 minutes, Jake turned his A-10 into a one-man air force. He expended every round of ammunition, every rocket, every bomb he carried. When he ran out of ordnance, he continued making low passes, using his aircraft's intimidating presence to suppress enemy fire and give the SEALs breathing room. Thunder, I don't know how you're doing this, but you're saving our lives down here. Bravo Actual called out. You've broken their attack. We can move. With Jake providing cover in impossible conditions, the 381 SEALs began their fighting withdrawal. Under cover of his continued strafing runs, they carried their wounded to the extraction point. not leaving a single man behind. But Jake's aircraft was dying around him. Both engines were smoking, his hydraulics were failing, and his fuel was critically low. The storm had beaten his aircraft to pieces, but Jake refused to abandon his mission until every SEAL was safe. Thunder, all personnel are at the LZ. Bravo Actual reported. You saved us all. Now get out of there. Jake pulled up from his final pass, his crippled A-10 climbing through the storm one last time. At 8,000 feet, both engines finally gave out. The ending no one saw coming. Mayday, mayday. Thunder is going down. Jake called as he prepared to eject from his dying aircraft. But as his parachute deployed in the raging storm, something miraculous happened. The 381 SEALs he'd just saved were already organizing a rescue mission for him. Thunder, this is Bravo Actual, came the voice that had started it all. You didn't leave us behind. We're not leaving you behind either. For the next 6 hours, America's most elite warriors fought their way through Taliban-controlled territory to reach their guardian angel's crash site. They found Jake injured but alive, surrounded by enemy fighters who'd been closing in for the kill. The aftermath shocked the entire military. Instead of the court-martial everyone expected, Jake found himself standing in the Oval Office 3 weeks later. President Harrison personally awarded him the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest decoration for valor. Captain Mitchell, the president said, you broke every rule in the book. You defied direct orders. You flew an impossible mission in impossible conditions. The president paused, his voice thick with emotion. And because of your courage, 381 American heroes came home to their families. General Hayes, who had watched the entire mission unfold from the Pentagon, approached Jake after the ceremony. Son, in 40 years of military service, I've never seen anything like what you did that night. You didn't just save 381 lives. You reminded us all what it means to serve. The legend was born. The story of Jake Thunder Mitchell became legend throughout the military. The pilot who flew into hell itself to save his brothers. The man who chose honor over orders, courage over caution. But Jake always insisted he wasn't the hero of the story. The real heroes, he'd say, were the 381 SEALs who trusted a crazy pilot enough to follow him home through the storm. Today, Jake continues flying, training the next generation of A-10 pilots. On his office wall hangs a photo. 381 Navy SEALs standing together at Bagram Air Base, alive because one pilot refused to abandon them. Sometimes breaking the rules isn't just right. It's the only way to do what's right. That forbidden rescue mission didn't just save lives. It proved that some bonds of brotherhood are stronger than any storm. Small airplane, smash that like if this story gave you goosebumps. Bell subscribe now for more incredible military heroism stories. Speech balloon comment. What would you have done in Jake's position? Mobile phone share this story to honor all service members who risk everything for their brothers. Don't scroll past. These stories of courage need to be told. Hit subscribe. United States.